Truth Serum. Every once in a while, you can just go through the motions and talk about stuff and really not get down to the as they say when I was coming up, the nitty gritty of a circumstance. And every once in a while, you need a shot of Truth Serum, because what we do as humans, we learn to kind of couch our talk or soften the blow. But the reality of it is, if you like football, if you like American football, you need to be listening to this now. Danae, are you a big football fan? Do you like football the way we watch football today? Do you like the game?
I love football.
Well, go back and start archiving all of the video you can of real football.
Oh, yeah.
Okay? Because real football is on its way out the door. It's on its way out the door. I'm telling you, if you go to Little League, it's already happened there. And now they're going to try to manufacture it and make it happen at the big league level. And what am I talking about? This new rule, listen. If you listen to my show, you know I understand safety. I want the game to be safe. But somebody tell me, James, and I can't even remember the statistics you and I pulled up that time, but there really wasn't that big a change. They're making all of these rule changes, and the reality of it is there's not that big a deal in the safety of the game. And you can make statistics. I'm not a statistics guy, didn't take statistics in college or anything. But I can make something sound really bad. For instance, I can say, well, you're 5 times more likely to get hurt by doing this than this. But what if I don't ever get hurt doing the other one? What does 5 times that mean?
It's like we're trying to take risk out of life. And here's the thing, Martin, and we all know just the nature of football. And that's the thing, you have to consider with all these rule changes when it comes to safety of the game. But also, we take risks every single day. I mean, just go out on 2059 to Birmingham, and you'll know what I mean.
Yeah, and that's what's so amazing about these rules. And like I said, I understand the safety, and I applaud the NFL for trying to get to the safety aspect of it. But James, I got to read this new rule, okay? I got new rule, 15-yard penalty for lowering head to make contact with the helmet, okay? For the moment, the biggest takeaway is mass confusion and angst. Should be. An unexpected hurried. Here's the thing. If you're going to make a rule around something as important as head injuries and safety of the game, to me, this should be something that is well thought out, well planned, etc. But an unexpected hurried and partial rollout has left many unanswered questions about a rule that Rich McKay said was intended to change behavior of players at all levels of football. Here's what we know. It is now a foul when a player lowers his head to initiate and make contact with his helmet against an opponent. It will cost him 15 yards and could, as with the NCAA targeting rule, lead to an ejection. What remains to be decided by the NFL in May, would ejections be mandatory or based on severity of the hit, would those ejections be subject to replay? And how strictly will officials enforce the rule? Players lower their heads to initiate contact with varying levels of contact all the time. Just stay tuned. Truth Serum, the game that Danae, James, myself, and you love, is about to change. And it may, if this rule stands, it's not just gonna change. You could be looking at the beginning of the end. I don't get it. And I know I may sound extreme, but that's what Truth Serum is. It forces you to face reality. The reality of it is human nature. James, if you and I are walking down the street and something comes at you, you see somebody coming and they do the little fake jab at any part of your upper body, you instinctively do what? you crouch.
Go into the fetal position.
Yes, which lowers your head. and your head, when you do that, your shoulders come forward, your neck, almost a turtle approach, and your head comes forward. So your head, 99% of the time, my face mask, even when my head I was not trying to lower my head, 99% of the time, my face mask was the first thing that contacted the other player. If he and I were face to face and we saw each other, we didn't duck our heads, we didn't lower our heads, but our heads would go down. So how are they going to measure this? How do you measure? Okay, are they going to have like a line up? The ref's going to throw the foul. They're going to go up to the booth, and then they're going to have this little line that they draw that goes straight up and down and say, oh, his helmet was bent at 25 degrees. I mean, how are you? But that's if he's standing straight up. But what if he's already in a lean, like a normal football position where his shoulders are leaned forward? Somebody tell me, can you run with the lean with your head not being lowered? I mean, think about you. I mean, you run. You.
It still comes to my mind. Cornelius Bennett's hit against Steve Berline. He'd be sitting out the rest of that game under today's rules.
One of my best blocks in college football was against in the national championship game. I'm coming around the corner, James, and the offensive tackle was supposed to block the linebacker, and he turns up, and boom, all of a sudden, Darren Smith is right in front of me. Darren Smith jumps, okay? When he jumps, I bend down. This part of my helmet hits him right in the middle of his shoulder pads. I pick him up and I pick him up on the ground and pin him on the ground. I would have been ejected from the game or at least had a 15-yard penalty on that play. But here's the thing. Every offensive lineman on 99% of the plays probably lowers their head. Quarterback sneak. The quarterback lowers his. Tom Brady will lose one of his most effective plays. Tom Brady is the best fourth down quarterback sneaking quarterback ever. Everybody talks about his passing. The guy's unbelievable on quarterback sneaks, but he lowers his head every time. He can't. His head is down. Penalty. What about short yardage? What about goal line? The entire process of goal line is that you lower your head. So there'll be no more short yardage, fourth downs and ones, all that stuff. You just go ahead and punt the ball because you cannot play football to get the first down.
Martin, we're sounding like we're getting to glorified 7-on-7.
Well, they do have this whole little sidebar league of former players doing like flag football. Listen, safety, let's make it safe, but let's not be stupid. I mean, I understand you want to change the nature of the game, but you can't. I don't think you can do it at the little league level because the human body naturally lowers the head. Now, spearing is different to me. You can call spearing, but how many times have you seen spearing called in the NFL? You went from not calling spearing on a consistent basis to now you're going to call any. This is not any. It says anytime you initiate contact by lowering your head. It didn't say anytime you initiate contact to the head. It says anytime your head is lowered. When a guy, where are you going to tackle the guy? Where do you tackle a guy? If you go up high, it's targeting. If you go down low, where does your head go? Your head is lowered when you make a tackle low. So you can't hit them up high. But now if you go low, your natural projection is you're going to have to come in and try to tackle a guy with your head tucked back and your eyes up. Because if you go low, your head naturally will go low. And that's what you're going to contact with. You can't lead in to make tackle with your head. You just have to make sure you have to put your head to the outside of the guy's legs and make sure your shoulder contacts him first. I think it's an impossible rule. And here's my concern. If the rule is so important, why did they cram it through and then not have any rules or guidelines around it? That's the part that shocks me. There is no rule around how to enforce it. James, true serum. I'm going to close. I'm going to save the other true serum for the fourth quarter because it's just as big an impact on the college game potentially as this rule has on. What's your thoughts in terms of what does this mean? I think it's going to impact football.
Like here, if I had a son that was looking to play football, if I was going to be concerned about injuries the most, I probably would be even more concerned about the ankles, ACL, and the knees as it would be concussions.
Knee injuries, ankle injuries, shoulder injuries are all going to go through the roof. I mean, they have no choice. And guess what? Most of the time, injuries happen when you're playing cautious or you're hesitant. And when you're trying to figure out, is my head up, my head down? I mean, it's just not natural. And maybe if it's taught through the little league and on up, it will look like football. But if you try to implement it with guys that's been doing it one way for 15, 20 years, it's going to change the game. So truth serum for today, the NFL, it's not going to be good. And Virgil Williams saying every running back lowers his head to make himself a smaller target when he's getting ready to initiate a hit. Also, not to mention goal line plays. No one can quarterback sneak or dive over the top. That's now going to be a penalty. If I go over the top and it's crazy. And the worst part about it is they didn't even put the details around how they're going to enforce it. They passed this rule. This would be like saying, okay, you're driving down the interstate. We're changing the speed limit. We're going to start enforcing the speed limit. And then kind of not even knowing, I guess, maybe they know something that they're not telling us that they've changed. I don't know. Maybe they got some statistics that was unbelievable and they're protecting themselves from being sued. I don't know. But either way, to me, it's absolutely crazy and ludicrous in terms of the rule. I understand safety. I want the game to be safer. But to make a rule that is a judgment call and that happens on there will not be a single play. In my opinion, there is not a single play that one of the 22 players on the field doesn't lower their helmet. It happens on every single play, just like holding does. But this one is a lot more serious than holding. Holding was the 10-yard penalty, you line up and replay. This one is you could get ejected. You're going to get 15 yards and could get ejected, get fined, etc. Big time rule change that I think changes the game.